Hi, I'm Shayna Goldberg, and it's so special for me to have the opportunity to speak to the broader Capstone community here from Alunchfoot. Our family feels very connected to Capstone. I personally spent 2 summers there, 2001 when I was single as a member of the Beit Midrash, and then we had the opportunity to go back together, 2014, me together with my husband and 5 children. But we have lots of other connections to Capstone. My sister, Steffi Lerner, was there for a couple of years. A big shout out to the Crohns and Shapiros, who are cousins of mine, and my nieces and nephews, the Hellerstein kids, grew up in Capstone. So Capstone has been part of my life for a long time, and maybe also very significantly, I teach in Migdalos and so many students throughout the years, incredible young women who have grown up in Capstone. So when I think about Capstone, there are 3 things that really stand out to me about it. The first is the amazing creative learning that goes on there, both in terms of Torah learning and the connection to Eretz Yisrael, Medinat Yisrael. But the Shir Mishnayot with hot chocolate in the morning, the Shat Shut, the Shabbat Chavruto, the one-on-one personal connections that are developed around learning on the Torah and how significant they are. But then there's also the tefillah and the fact that kids grow up in Capstone learning how to daven and learning what daven means and learning how important it is that tefillah be a part of our day and enjoying tefillah and singing in tefillah and feeling that tefillah is something that comes alive for them. But I think when I think of what's most significant to me about Capstone, it's the personal initiative and the human element of the chinuch that's done in terms of the way that people are taught to have a rosh gadol, to think big, to take initiative, to dream about Klal Yisrael, about Am Yisrael, about Torah Yisrael, and to be a dugma ishit, both in their own lives and the people who are closest to them and for others. And I think when I look at my students over the years in Migdalos who have come through Capstone and I see how much they think about the broader community and what they could do, they really stand out in terms of the leaders that they've become in their communities and beyond. As we approach this week's Parashat Chukat, a thought of mine that connects to this idea is a thought that I once heard years ago from Rav Amital Zatzal, Rosh Yeshiva, Yeshivat Har Tzion, who shared that when the Jewish people were approaching Har Sinai on their way to getting the Torah, they first came to Mara, where Hashem gave them a few mitzvot before they were going to get kind of the full package deal. And at Mara, he gave them the mitzvah of Shabbat, the mitzvah of Kibbud Avim, and the mitzvah of Paraduma, which features prominently in our week's Parsha. And Rav Amital shared the idea that he thinks that it's not by coincidence that these 3 mitzvot were chosen to be the mitzvot that preceded the giving of the actual Torah, because Shabbat represents a mitzvah that I think most of us connect to. We understand its beauty, we understand its significance, its mashma'ud. We know what it means that we have every week the opportunity to take a break and to look forward to Shabbat as time to be with our family and our friends, our community, and to stop kind of the busy routine of our day-to-day lives and to have a break. So Shabbat represents that connection that we feel. Kibbud Avim is that mitzvah that makes sense to us. We get why we have to honor our parents. We get that we owe our lives to them. We get how important they are to us. We understand that we owe them a certain amount of respect. So it's the mitzvah that makes sense. And Paraduma is that mitzvah that we just don't understand at all. It's what we call the Torah achok. It's something that we don't really have explanation for. It doesn't seem to fit into any definition of anything rational, and yet we have to be committed to it anyway. And Rav Amital explained that on our way as a nation to receiving the Torah, Hashem wanted us to understand that mitzvot are made up of a range of different kinds of things in our lives. There are mitzvot that really speak to us, that we feel, that we connect to. There are mitzvot that make sense to us, that we understand we have to do them. And then there are mitzvot that we don't really get, and yet we have to submit and we have to commit to them regardless. And when I think about Capstone, I think about how they really kind of tie these 3 things together. On the one hand, they take mitzvot and they take a life of Torah and they make it mashmuti and they make it significant and they help us understand the meaning and the role that it plays in our lives. Capstone also kind of helps us learn why mitzvot makes sense. They have sessions where they explain things and people come to an understanding that maybe they didn't understand before. And yet at the same time, I think Capstone is all about taking responsibility and understanding that at the end of the day, whether you connect to something or like it or it makes sense to you, you got to take responsibility and step up and have that rosh gadol and be that dugma ishit, because that is what is asked of us. So I hope as we head into Parashat Chukat, these messages of Ramat Vital that are so echoed and represented by the Capstone experience could remind us to recommit and reconnect and remember the passion that we feel both for Hashem and His Torah and His mitzvot, and also for Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael. Wishing you all a wonderful week and a Shabbat Shalom, and hopefully that it will be a healthy and wonderful summer for all of us.